Level 22. Settings. Settings. Save games. Professor Gar in the shadow of the mine. Save the poacher's house call. Save complete. Restart from level. Gear.
I'd better keep an eye on high places around the school for Zenobia's gobstones.
Oh good, you're safe.
There you are. You were in such a state when you left.
The poachers got to my gran. Someone recognized me in Horntail Hall and they got to her.
What do you mean? Is she all right?
She's fine, thank goodness. But they were at her house, our house. They assumed I'd sent the egg there. She said they took the whole place apart looking for it, screaming that we'd cost them everything.
I'm so sorry, Poppy.
I'm sorry, Poppy. I'm glad she's all right. I don't think either one of us could have anticipated that.
I should have known. I underestimated the poachers. And now another creature's in danger.
What do you mean?
The poachers refused to leave empty-handed, so they took valuable journals that Gran had discovered when she was researching rare creatures. One of them contained theories about a secret hiding place of the Snidget, long thought to be extinct.
Something tells me you want to find this creature. What's a Snidget?
Exactly what kind of creature is a Snidget?
It's a small bird with golden feathers. It's incredible. It has rotational wings that allow it to dart quickly in any direction. In fact, the golden snitch in Quidditch is based on the Snidget, which barbarically was actually used in the sport hundreds of years ago.
Something tells me you... What's a Snidget? Why do the poachers care about Snidgets?
Why would Snidgets be valuable to poachers?
They could make more money with Snidgets than they ever would have fighting dragons. The golden Snidget's feathers and eyes are incredibly valuable. That's why they're believed to be extinct. They were hunted out of existence by wizard kind. If the poachers found some now, I can't bear to think about the horrific way they'd be bred and killed for profit.
Something tells me you... What's a Snidget? Why do the poachers care about Snidgets? Did the journal say where the Snidgets were hidden?
Where exactly are these Snidgets allegedly hidden?
Gran says the journals were a bit cryptic, which is good. Perhaps the poachers won't be clever enough to find the birds. From what she recalls, the journals only noted that the key to finding them lay in the moonlight. Gran thinks it can be narrowed down to a handful of locations.
Something tells me you want to find this creature.
I take it you aren't going to let the poachers anywhere near the Snidgets.
Gran wants me to stay out of it, but I know she's devastated that poachers might go after the Snidgets, if they still exist. We had the element of surprise on our side when we saved that dragon, but the poachers will be watching for us now.
We need allies. Others who hate the poachers enough to help us, who value creatures as much as...
Merlin's beard! You're a genius! The centaurs! They'd want the Snidgets protected at all costs.
Let's talk to the centaurs. Centaurs may be too hostile to help. Let's talk to the centaurs.
Sounds as if we need to go and talk to the centaurs.
We'll need to be careful in how we approach them. Tensions with them are high. Still, I think they may be our only hope. Let me think on it. I'll let you know as soon as I have a plan.
Level 22. Quests. All. The Professor, the dead alive, a thief in the night. I found a trail of gold coins leading, demanding, a friend indeed. The tale of Roland Oakes, the man, a friend indeed. I need to travel to Upper Hogsfield and speak with Dorothy Sprottle about her Horclump needs and ask her about Sorona's box of letters. I believe I can cross button. Level. Talents. Triangle button. Select flying map.
Sometimes it seems all roads lead to Hogsmeade.
Better sleep.
Accio! Lumos. Your blood's on Ranrock's hands.
Ranrock's vision of goblins ruling over wizards will be fulfilled.
Accio!
You won't defeat us all! You won't get away with that. That student defeated our encampment with attack!
Accio! Flipendo!
All defense and no offense. Oh, you seem fond of dark.
Upper Hogsfield. Now where to find Mrs. Sprottle?
Bardo Beaumont should have returned by now. Had by dark wizards he was.
Hello, Mrs. Sprottle. Actually, Sirona Ryan asked if I'd come and see you.
Hello, Mrs. Sprottle. Actually, Sirona Ryan asked if I'd come and see you.
Oh! Dear Sirona, a gem. Has been for as long as I've known her.
She thought you might need help collecting ingredients for your Wiggenweld potion.
And she's correct. My darling Aidan used to collect Horklumps for me. Since he died, my supply has dwindled.
I'm sorry for your loss, Mrs. Sprottle.
Oh, thank you. Love of my life. A bit lost without him. If you wouldn't mind gathering some Horklumps for me, I'd be happy to compensate you for your time.
Believe it or not, I have some with me.
Believe it or not, I have some with me.
Oh, thank you. How wonderful. The travelling vendors will be thrilled to replenish their stock of Wiggenweld potion.
Sirona also mentioned that Mr. Sprottle was bringing her a box of letters when he fell ill.
Indeed he was. I'd almost forgotten. I stumbled upon it just before Aidan died. He was hoping to go through it with Sirona over a butterbeer or two. Those two were always like two bowtruckles in a branch. Aidan took ill when he was collecting Horklumps on his way to see her. He made it home, but I fear he dropped the box in the cavern. The cavern is in the hills just southwest of our hamlet. You can gather Horklumps and collect the box of letters there.
Thank you, Mrs. Sprottle. What was Sirona like when she was my age?
Sirona said she lived with you during the summers when she was at Hogwarts. What was she like?
Oh, goodness. Well, she was almost exactly like she is now. Charming, good head on her shoulders, taking care of everyone. I can't tell you the fun we had when she and her friends would visit us during the year, all buzzing about, practicing charms. Talented group. Her friend Mirabelle was a genius in the garden. Learned it all from her muggle parents, if you can believe it.
Thank you, Mrs. Sprottle. What was Sirona like? What was in the box of letters?
Do you remember anything about the letters you put in the box?
Oh, of course. A few letters from some of her school friends. Some nice memories. I even included a letter Sirona had written to me when she was staying with us. Thought she might enjoy reading it. I know when I read writing from my youth, I'm always astonished at how much I've changed, and yet remain the same.
Thank you, Mrs. Sprottle.
Thank you, Mrs. Sprottle.
Thank you. I'll be here if you are able to collect those hawk lumps. I, and the vendors I help, would greatly appreciate it. Shane Bardolph thought dark magic was the answer. I reckon Rookwood's played a hand in his disappearance.
I think I know how and where to approach the centaurs about protecting the Snidgets. Meet me in the Forbidden Forest.
Abandoned long ago, no doubt. This must be the cavern Mrs. Sprottle mentioned. Gave the hawk lumps to Mrs. Sprottle, but I still need to visit the cave to find Sirona's box. Better have a look around, see if I can find that box of letters.
Lumos. U triangle but R2 try R2 but defindo. Triangle R2 button.
Incendio! That's all the hawk lumps for now. Mrs. Sprottle should be pleased. Incendio! Accio!
Lumo.
Revelio. Either I'll have to fight that troll, or avoid it altogether. Incendio. Expelliarmus. Incendio. Incendio. Incendio! Expelliarmus! Incendio! Rest easy, my large friend.
Dear Sirona, when I arrived here, I had a troubling sense that in many ways I wasn't like the other first years. I confess I worried that Hogwarts might not have been the proper place for me and pondered sending an owl to my parents asking them to fetch me almost before the first week of classes had ended. How did you know? I presume you're not secretly a Legionnaires, but I wonder that you seemed to know my thoughts better than I did myself. That day in the Three Broomsticks when you spotted me huddled in a corner, staring blankly at an untouched butterbeer and an empty bit of parchment, my quill dripping ink woefully onto the floor, and you came to sit with me, well, I shall never forget it. I recall a sudden sense of relief as if someone had cast a levitation charm on me when you told me about how nervous you'd been to come to Hogwarts. I looked at you and it seemed beyond my imagination to think of you as anything but the confident, contented witch sitting before me. In the days that followed, I marveled at how you charmed in the non-magical sense, I mean everyone around you without apology embracing who you were and who they were. It was as though a candle had flickered on for me. I realized that I could choose that path as well. Now that my school years are ending, the frightened first year which I had been seems worlds away. And I know it's because you saw yourself in that despairing creature in the corner of the pub and so generously extended yourself to her. Yours sincerely, Mirabelle. P.S. Please tell Mrs. Sprottle that I still plan on visiting her and Mr. Sprottle whenever I can for their delightful conversation and, I am unashamed to admit, her incomparable cauldron cakes. Right stick. Scroll. Circle button. Back. My dear Serona, I've sent a note separately to dear Mr. and Mrs. Sprottle for their hospitality but felt the need to put quill to parchment with my thanks to you as well. What a lovely respite from the castle. I won't soon forget how we giggled about that ridiculous gnome. Did he truly believe that he was singing? And Mrs. Sprottle's steak and kidney pie was simply glorious. I shall be dreaming of it for days. I so appreciate you including me. I fear I must warn you, however, that this does not mean I will go easy on you in next week's match. You know that Ravenclaw is no match at all for Slytherin this year. Most gratefully yours, Philomena. Right stick. Scroll.
This must be Serona's box of letters. Incendio. Accio. Expelliarmus.
Rally behind strength and you can't go wrong. And mine stand behind whimsy that castles fall. Perhaps I shall...
Accio. Incendio.
Thinking in terms of good...
Accio. Incendio. A castle. Must have been quite stately in its time.
You've made a mistake!
Accio. Incendio. Expelliarmus.
How's the view?
Thought we'd forget about it.
Incendio.
Levioso!
Accio. Expelliarmus. Incendio. Better have a look around. See about the Horcrux's handles. Expelliarmus. Accio. Incendio. Either I'll have to fight that troll, or avoid it altogether.
Dear Sirona, I conjured this wee gift for you as a token of my gratitude. If you hadn't stood your ground on my behalf during Quidditch practice last week, I might have left the team altogether. And now we've won the Quidditch Cup. Ravenclaw House would not be the same without you. Yours sincerely, Sean. Circle button. Back. Dear Sirona, happy birthday, my darling friend. I sneaked into the kitchens and asked Finky to make your favorite cream crowdie. She was delighted to oblige. Not sure where she got raspberries at this time of year. Genius, that Finky. Bess. Circle button. Dear Mrs. Sprottle, Mother and Father were delighted to hear that you and I had spent the afternoon at Gladrags last Saturday. Truth be told, I think my mother was ever so slightly envious. I shan't soon forget how heartily we laughed at my efforts to lace the bodice of my new dress. A challenge indeed. As is the rather delicate practice of properly situating a hat pin without wounding either my hat or my head. But I adore everything that we selected, and I have you to thank for now feeling like a marvelously fashionable witch. It was also a treat to dine at the Three Broomsticks without having to clear the tables. I shall own a place like that one day, mark my words. I consider myself more than lucky that you and Mr. Sprottle agreed to let me stay. I know that my parents feel precisely the same way. Yours gratefully, Sirona. Right stick. Scroll. Circle button. Back.
I think that's everything. Sirona will be glad to have... Lumos. These rocks have seen better days. Lumos. Here. Hello, Sirona. I have good news. I was able to provide your friend Mrs. Sprottle with some hawk lumps for her Wiggenweld potion, and I found your box of letters.
Oh, thank you. I knew you were the one to ask.
Happy to help. May I ask you about the letters in the box?
I wondered about some of the letters in the box.
Of course. It appears most of the letters were from fellow students.
Were you on the Quidditch team?
One of the letters mentions Quidditch practice. Did you play?
I did. Was the Ravenclaw Seeker for 3 years. Oh, Merlin's beard. I adore Quidditch. Nothing like the feeling of catching the golden snitch when your team's down by 140 points. I'll never forgive Professor Black for cancelling it this year. I missed cheering for Ravenclaw.
Happy to help. Where is Mirabelle, Professor Garlick?
I saw a letter from someone named Mirabelle. Is that Professor Garlick?
It is. Still one of my dearest friends. I know she wouldn't mind you having seen that letter. She and I are of a similar mind, especially when it comes to young people. We believe experience to be an invaluable teacher. To borrow a phrase from Mirabelle, it's a joy to see anyone blossom, but particularly one who doubted they ever would.
Happy to help. Where you is our Miss?
I spotted a letter from you to Mrs. Sprottle. You two seem to have a lot of fun together.
We do. She taught me so much during my summers with her and Aiden. I shall be the first to admit that adolescents aren't always the easiest to understand, and not everyone was as kind to me as the Sprottles. But the depth of their kindness, and that of so many of my friends, got me through some challenging times, to put it mildly.
Happy to help.
I'm glad I could be of help. Mrs. Sprottle sends her best.
Don't know what I'd have done without her and Aiden. Thank you, again, for helping her, and for returning this box of letters. It's nice to reflect on good memories.
They'll be asking for favours round the clock.
I'm sure you had your reasons, but breaking into Alfred Lawley's home wasn't the brightest idea. Folk still talk about you taking down that troll in the village circle. You certainly made an impression.
Each customer, there's no cooking, barely making once for centuries.
Still, she has always been quite a reader. And she's quite useful when you have a question.
We've had our fair share of blackguards and rogues in the wizarding world, of course, but I'd say we're still more civilized than muggles any day of the week.
Does my heart good to see young Albie Weeks making a go of his spirit witches. Very knowledgeable young man.
There's no lights on coastline, brothers, or oneself.
I imagine it's a bit of a comfort to have your career laid out from birth. No worries about school or classes. There's a dignity in service, isn't there?
Map, Hogsmeade. Collection chests. 0 out of quests. All. The headmistress cross button. Untracked quest level, talents.
My children and my husband, for that matter, know not to press.
If I had a knife for every crap ball I
Hogsmeade, here I come. Lumos. Lumos.
I don't know what Madame Giselle is thinking of.
Off on another adventure, are we?
Welcome back.
Hello, Professor. I have news. The goblins are looking for something. Another repository. They've built drills to help with their search.
Most troubling.
Are these repositories like the broken container I found at Hogwarts Castle?
They are. I fear we have no time to lose. Have a look at the map. Fortunately, the next trial is fairly nearby.
It's Hogwarts.
As you know, I was headmistress in my time. My portrait hangs in the headmaster's office. In fact, I witnessed Professor Black learn of your arrival. And I'll confess that I wondered about you.
Wait, is the next trial in the headmaster's office?
It is. I had hoped that when the time came, the occupant of that office would be of help to us. Unfortunately, this headmaster seems wildly unconcerned with anything but himself. You'll need to access the office while he's away.
I understand. Very well. I'll find some way to get in.
Good. I shall meet you in my portrait there. Until then.
How will I gain access to the headmaster's office? Perhaps Professor Fig will know what to do.
That day I would. It was an accident.
Professor Fig, the Keepers have shown me where the next trial is.
Has something changed?
Lodgok and I have learned that the goblins are searching for another repository, like the one we saw at Rookwood Castle. And I discovered that they're building massive drills to help in their search. Professor Fitzgerald seemed very concerned.
I see. Ranrock clearly knows even more than we suspected.
And sir, there's something else. Lodgok knew Miriam.
He knew Miriam?
They encountered each other at Rookwood Castle. She was doing research. That's where she found the container with the portkey. He liked her so much that he let her leave with it, despite orders from Ranrock.
I don't know what to say. She could win over almost anyone. I want to hear more of this. And, in fact, I'd like to speak with Lodgok directly. But we've no time now. Where is the next trial?
Believe it or not, it's in the headmaster's office.
Incredible. Very well. You'll need the password to get past the stone gargoyle. The headmaster's house elf will know it.
I don't know the headmaster's house elf. Will he even speak to me? I imagine he's loyal to the headmaster.
He is. So you'll need a disguise. I have just the thing. A polyjuice potion. You'll look and sound like Professor Black.
Wait, doesn't polyjuice potion require a bit of the person you want to change into? And take ages to brew?
It does.
So how do you already have polyjuice potion to change into Professor Black?
One never knows when such a thing may come in handy. Let's just say I felt the need to be prepared for anything after my fruitless trip to the Ministry on his behalf. Now, time is of the essence. Drink up and I shall explain more. How do you feel?
Incredible. I won't forget that taste anytime soon. How do I sound?
Convincing. I've taken the liberty of transfiguring your robes. As we discussed, you'll need the password from Scrope, who could be anywhere in the castle. You might look for Professor Kagawa. She's taken to badgering the poor elf about Quidditch in the hopes that he can convince Black to change his mind. Thus far, unsuccessfully.
I see. But what if Professor Black sees me?
Leave him to me. I shall tell him where to meet a liaison from the Ministry in Hogsmeade. That should give you plenty of time.
Thank you, Professor. I suppose we'll meet again in the map chamber.
It's rather strange to hear gratitude coming from Professor Black. I'll see you there.
Now to find the headmaster's house elf.
Level 20. Settings. Save game. Professor Garlick's assignment 2. Manual save. The Pole AUE's plot. Empty save slot. Cross button. Level. Challenges.